And it started with a helmet. When I retired in 1997 from the fire department in New York, I came down here 3 years later, and then in May of 2000, I got a job. And the chief hired me, and he said to me a couple of weeks after hiring me, you know, we have a New York City fire helmet here in Naples. I said, wait a minute, how'd you get a fire helmet here in Naples? He said, a man walked into the fire station one day. He said it was his father's, and he didn't want it anymore, which I thought was a little strange, and he gave it to us, and we have it up on the, hanging on the wall over at the ladder 44. So we drive over, and I walk in, Marcus, and I look up on the wall, and there's an old black leather fire helmet, and it has, on the front piece, it has 42 in red. I knew immediately that came from the 42 truck in the South Bronx. In fact, it was where my former boss, the fire commissioner, that was his first firehouse. So I'm shocked. I'm like, how the hell did how did this helmet wind up in Naples, Florida? So he said, do you think they'd want it back? I said, of course they want it back. So I called fire headquarters, and I immediately got abused by the fire commissioner. Like, who would hire you? We just got rid of you, you piece of shit. After 30 years, why would somebody take a chance and blah, blah, blah. So after we got the ribbing over with, he said to me, you know, the firehouse is being renovated now. It's not going to be finished until next year, which was 2001. So I had talked to the press office all through that time. And about July, Frank Gribben calls me and said, you better make your travel arrangements. The firehouse is going to be completed, and it's going to be rededicated on Monday, September 10th, 2001. Oh, wow. So September 10th, 2001, what did that mean to anybody? What did it mean? It didn't mean anything. So on September 8th, we flew up to New York. I found the man who gave us the helmet, George Kuntz Jr., and two chiefs, and we flew to New York City. So they wanted to go to the firehouses where I had worked. So I took them to ladder 23 in Harlem, ladder 131 in Brooklyn and Red Hook. Took them to Brooklyn Fire Communications, and we went all over the city. But we didn't go to the World Trade Center. There was no reason, no draw that I felt. So the morning of September 10th, we wind up in the South Bronx at the firehouse. And there are hundreds and hundreds of firefighters there for the rededication to cut the ribbon. I get reunited again with Mayor Giuliani, who I had worked with for years. Father Judge, who was one of our Catholic chaplains, they had an altar built, and he was going to say Mass. Anyway, as it turned out, that was the last Mass that Father Judge said, because he was killed the next day, some 20 hours later, along with about 7 or 8 of my other friends and fellow firefighters. Looking back at it now, it was just, how could that have happened? So after the presentation, we went back to LaGuardia Airport, and we checked in our luggage, and we were supposed to fly back that night of September 10th back to Naples. But a storm hit New York City that nobody remembers, but I do. It closed all 3 New York City airports, LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark.
Yeah, that's got a precursor, right?
I mean,
that's how you knew something was coming in.
Oh, boy. So the next morning, we went to my daughter's in Riverdale. We got back to the airport at 5:30 in the morning, and at 6:30, we flew out 2 hours before the attacks from LaGuardia Airport. It was a beautiful blue sky, and I thought about this years later. You know, I could have been on one of those hijacked planes. You know, I mean, it just was one of those. It didn't happen, but anyway. So now we're changing planes in Pittsburgh, and I get called to a television set, and they're screaming my name, and I go down, and that's when I look up, and I see that a plane had crashed into one of the towers.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.